Hey guys, it's Andrew, and this is a guest podcast spot that I did with my friend Mike Hambright and Investor Fuel. And let me tell you, he's got an incredible podcast, lots of info. So go like and share and follow him as well. But we wanted to put that episode here because it's really great. You'll get some info on kind of where we started and where the business that he's running and kind of how we're similar and different. And ultimately, we dive into a little bit about the wholesaling world and what to do now that it's illegal, right? So anywhere where you are, if you find yourself kind of struggling to figure out how to find deals or what to do with deals, or what to do now that it seems like wholesaling is gone, and that was like the only thing that you heard about online for the last 5-7 years. It was wholesaling, and now it's going away. If you find yourself struggling to figure out what to do now, listen to this and take some notes. I hopefully you enjoy, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Today, I'm here with Andrew Lucas. We're going to be talking about how to find more deals right in your backyard. These are deals that are probably, you're looking right past them right now, and there's opportunity in front of you, and you're just not paying attention to it. So, Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to see you. So it's kind of funny. I just noticed this when I hit just now that you have an arrow behind you. And I talk often about having arrow wounds in my back. So I don't know if that's just fate that's there, but I guess, you know what it's like to have lots of arrow wounds in your back too, I'm sure, right?
That's right. You're always looking behind you. Funny story, actually. This came from a property we bought, and we're walking around. Of course, it was like a nasty hoarder property or whatever. And this thing was in the backyard. So I brought it into the office, and now I just like it for the looks.
That's right. Yeah,
as a double wall.
Need to get myself an arrow behind. So cool. Awesome, man. Well, hey, tell us a little bit about your background, how you got started in real estate. I know you obviously do a lot of deals in South Carolina. You're also a coach and a mentor, but maybe share how this all got started.
Yeah. Well, I'll go all the way back to the first deal we did was 2007. So crazy, but that was a long time ago. And if you remember 2007, basically anybody and everybody and even dogs and cats could get a mortgage and get a house. So I was lucky enough to be in that because I had just graduated from college and I was making like $28,000 a year or something like that. And heard of a mortgage guy. Somebody said, yeah, you could probably buy a house. I went, and sure enough, he's like, yeah, we can get you approved. I'm like,
how many do you want? Yeah.
So I had been.
What was your job out of college, by the way?
I used to manage hotels. So my first job out of college, I was an assistant manager or front desk manager, whatever, entry level management there. And I stayed in hotels the whole time and got that house. And this is a really fun story. It was a terrible buy. We learned a lot of lessons there. I didn't know what I was doing, but I thought that all the landlords I'd been paying rent to through college were the smartest people. They must be filthy rich. They're rolling in cash. And little did I know that back then I was paying like $250 a bedroom rent, and they weren't making anything. I soon found that out when I became the owner, and I was renting the rooms out, but very quickly realized that the agent I used, his name was on the sign. I went to him and I just was like, is this the price? He said, this is the price. I said, okay, well, let's go buy it. And then we did an inspection and there was stuff wrong with it. I said, I went to that agent. I said, do you think the seller would give me a discount? And he's like, no, he won't give you a discount. And come to find out, that agent, he was working for the seller. He wasn't working for me. He was just getting 6%. Because I naively came in without my own agent.
Yeah.
And I see people doing that today still. I'm like, yeah, you're not getting any help. All right. So anyway, overpaid and closed on October 30th of 2007. If you Google the 2008 crash or whatever, when did it start? I think it started like November 1st. So
2 days later.
2 days later, after I overpaid, paid full price for a house that needed work. So started on a foot, probably not the best foot to invest in, but got the job done, got me in, kind of got the bug going for me. 10 months later, I'd moved for another job. And at that time, I met my now wife. And so we were Had that house, had it rented out. 2007. I'm going to fast forward to like 2015. Michelle and I had moved and kept houses, right? So that whole thing of just not selling
Right.
and keeping as rentals, the accidental landlord, we did that a few times. So we had 4 rental properties in 2015, and then we had 2 kids and one on the way, and we looked and realized that those 4 rental houses were not paying us anything because we didn't buy them right. We weren't renting them for enough. After you pay taxes, we were probably negative. And then we were spending all of our free weekends or free nights to fix the toilets, the tenant trash, dealing with all that. So we were about to quit. It's like we had not got into this business very well. We didn't know what we were doing. We made bad decisions on buying and managing and fixing. But one of the agents that we had used gave me a book. It's called Hold. It's the yellow one. It's over there. About how to actually buy and manage and profit from rental houses. And it had a lot of pictures and numbers, which is great for me. I like numbers and pictures. So I went through it and actually read through it, and I convinced my wife. I said, babe, I think we can do this. I think we can actually do this correctly, and make a business out of it. So we got together, we prayed about it, we had long discussions, and basically I twisted her arm and she said, okay, let's try it. And she said, I still remember this. She said, we could do this as long as you don't touch our money, the money for the house, right? To buy the diapers. So I had to do it all out of the rent that came in, the investment money, all that had to stay in that business. Couldn't come over, touch our W-2 income, right? So that was actually, I think, a blessing to make me get creative, make me try to figure out how to do the business with essentially, nothing to start with.
Yep.
So one thing that, Mike, we were talking about is when I was, however old I was, I don't know, young 20s in 2007, I had all the time in the world, plenty of time to make mistakes and errors and figure it out. But going up until like 2016 with 2 kids, another one coming, there was no time for trial and error. There's no time to figure this thing out. So that's when I hired a coach. Michelle and I hired a coach to help us flip properties to generate income, profit, to then buy the rentals that we needed so that we could make a business out of it. And then we had a coach to help us analyze and set up the rental properties so that we could actually live off of those. And so that's what started in 2016. And we did the math of how many rental units did we need so that my wife could retire from her day job. And it was 35. 2016 to 2018, we got from 4 to 34, and she quit. And then I quit because we learned about wholesaling. So since 2018, we've been full-time. I know that's a lot. I would say that was, yeah, we didn't know it was going to be like that, but we just kind of kept going and giving us what the Lord handed us and what the business opportunities were in front of us. Using mentors, coaches, community, like people around us, asking questions and not being afraid to take the next step, allowed us to get to here today, where now we've bought and sold hundreds of houses, probably thousands of houses at this point. We currently own 96 rental units. We buy and sell at least 6 or 8 every month, whether flips or wholesale or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
that's great. Yeah. I think, honestly, stories like that, which there's a lot of them of people that have been in the business for a while, there's a lot of hardship, right? And I think at the end of the day, a lot of people give up before they they don't use those as lessons, or as you will, arrows in your back.
Yes.
To figure out how to like not do stuff. And I think that's where a lot of people are looking for that immediate gratification these days, and they're just not willing to kind of fail forward. So I think that it's a testament to like, keep going forward, surround yourself with people, hire coaches, like find people that can help you climb that learning curve faster, because you're really in a race against yourself to the end of the runway to say, okay, this isn't working, we're out, right? And so
Yeah.
it's better to kind of make those investments early on because you can climb a learning curve a lot faster that way. And essentially you won't need as long of a runway.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how to find deals like right in your market. I mean, that was one of your epiphanies where there's deals right in front of you and you just weren't finding them.
Yeah. It actually goes all the way back to when we first started is, first house was from driving around. Saw a sign out there. Second house was the same. And then, as we started kind of trying to do this business for real, I didn't know what wholesaling was. I didn't even know that was a word until 2018, 2018. So when we were out shopping for flips and for rental properties, it came from using agents to help us driving around looking for properties that needed some work or that had a sign out that actually said, "Hey, buy me," for sale by owners and stuff like that. So that's how our business began. Now, it wasn't really like an epiphany at that point. It was just what was out there and it was just what was available. And I didn't start realizing that it was uncommon until I actually became a real estate professional and I was in this business and we have our meetup that we started a long time ago, 2018, and people started coming in and saying, "Where are all the deals? Where's all the properties? I can't find them." And I just started saying, well, they're everywhere. What do you mean they're you can't find them? But I realized that people just didn't know where to look or how to look, and maybe there's a little bit of fear in there. So I kind of went back to looking back to where we got our deals, and I actually have a podcast too, Mike. So I ask everybody, "Hey, where'd your first deal come from?" And I think, well, everybody except for one guy he admits he was crazy. They have found them in their own backyard, their own community through one of our handful of different ways. Either an agent brought it to them or a friend, family member, somebody from work said, "Hey, you should look at this one." Or it was literally in their backyard. So like out their door, they took a walk around the block, talked to a neighbor and got a deal.
Yeah.
And you know a lot of investors and you might, have the same sentiment, right?
I think early on, a lot of real estate investors have to find deals through more like what I'll kind of call hustle tactics, right?
Yeah.
So as you scale your business, obviously to grow your business, you have to start relying more on paid advertising and things to bring in leads because you can't. There's hustle is a season, as they say. You don't have 24 hours in a day. You only have 24 hours a day. You can't like hustle all the time. But a lot of times for people getting started, especially if you don't have a lot of money, you're not independently wealthy, you got to use sweat equity to kind of find those things.
Yeah, and I actually kind of challenge a little bit of the fact of going and needing to pay for advertising. Now we do, we spend a lot of money on advertising. However, our free leads, quote free leads, the deals and the contracts and the properties that come from what I say is the free methods being other wholesalers, agent referrals, our own network, driving for dollars, that sort of thing. We actually get about 25% of our deal flow or profits from those lead sources. And now
Yeah.
that is a very good salary or income for a single operator. Like, they have employees and overhead, but if we didn't, we could just support ourselves with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of, you ultimately don't have all your irons in one fire or
Yep.
all your eggs in one basket or whatever they say. Right. But when you first get started, you just got to do what you got to do to get over that hump. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll tell you a quick story of what really drove this home for me is Michelle and I, 2013, we moved into a new home. We actually debated on buying this home because the house across the street was a nasty rental. Like there's cars everywhere. It didn't fit the neighborhood. And we said, well, they'll be kicked out soon enough, right? They'll be evicted. Well, couldn't find it. Yeah, they got evicted while we were moving in. So my wife's, we had it was a 3-month-old at that time, our first kid. My wife's mom and dad are there to help us move. And this the house across the street is getting evicted. So all their stuff is on the front lawn. So, I looked like a great husband at that point. Um, but as that property developed, we used to sit on the front porch and just rock the baby, right? Across the street, the tenants got evicted. And I said, man, that's going to be a good deal. Somebody should get that, fix it up. Then it goes into foreclosure and I find out that it's being foreclosed. I said, oh man, that's going to be good. Somebody should flip that or that's going to be a great house one day. And then it goes on the market. There's a sign in the yard and it's for sale. The bank is selling it. And I look at it and I'm just like, yeah, someday somebody's going to really do something with that house. Then it sells to a general or colonel, whatever in the army. He comes over and he's flipping it himself and a friend. They're doing all the work, and I go over there. I actually help them. I'm like helping put up light bulbs and stuff like that. I'm like, this is a really good deal for you. This is gonna be great. And the whole time we had rental properties. We were already quote investors, but my brain was not turned on to what a deal is, what opportunities are right in front of my face.
Yep.
Because the fact that I wasn't looking or listening for an opportunity, I literally watched it happen, and he made $75,000 ish from flipping this house right in front of me across the street.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so from now on, that's what Deal Finders is, right? It's actually having your head turned and tuned towards opportunities that are right around us today.
Yeah, and there's there have been people that I know that kind of hire quote bird dogs to go out and look for them, but a lot of us have friends, family, relationships, network with people that are kind of by default bird dogs, as long as they know that you're looking. If you tell them that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, what are some of these other ways in terms of kind of finding deals? Like, I think we were talking ahead of time, and you said I read a great book last year called Who Not How, and it's a lot of it is like who could help bring these deals to you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's what we've done in our home buying business is kind of curate that and identify who and let them know what we're looking for and to call us. So we talked about wholesalers, which wholesaling is a dirty word in South Carolina right now.
Yeah, it's illegal, right?
Yeah, it's illegal. And we could talk about that, but they're still out there. They're still out there, and we call them more like bird dogs now, right? I mean, they're still talking to sellers, looking for deals, and they still need someone to buy it. Yeah, so influencers is another thing, and I say influencer not like an Instagram influencer, but an influencer in the life of a real estate transaction, thinking of a distressed transaction. So distressed seller, distressed property. Who might that be? It could be an estate attorney. It could be a probate clerk, judge, officer, somebody that works at the office, someone that does probate transactions. It could be the emergency services type companies, right? So restoration companies, water, flood, fire, all that. So these are people that
companies and
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So they're influencing different pieces and parts of the transaction. You got CPAs that do this. So anybody that you know or see or companies, you can let them know. Estate sales. And so any of those influencers, talk to, let them know you're available, that what you're looking for. Driving for dollars, I mentioned that. The big piece I say is a lot of people want to drive for dollars because it's really impersonal. You can just drive around, look for houses, and you just say, oh, that's a good one. But actually, driving is not just looking at the houses. It's writing down, making contact with the owner. I like to challenge our partners or our community members to get out of the car. If you have a nice, fluffy dog, this works. Like, go for a walk with your dog. It doesn't have to be your neighborhood. But if you're walking a neighborhood and there's a house that looks distressed and there's a neighbor outside, just start asking, like, hey, what's up with that house? What do you know? Oh, you know them? You'll be surprised what you get. One of our students that worked with us, they right out of the gate had no experience in real estate. And I said, try this. You're in a really good neighborhood. Try this. And they walked around and got 3 houses from a landlord who was, he was working on one of them, and he was like, I'm done. So they struck up a conversation and got the deal done. Facebook, this is another tip. Facebook, not the investor groups, right? We're all in the discount property groups or investors, local investors, Texas, South Carolina, whatever, but go into the community groups. So, the buy and sell group for your town, community, HOA, whatever, and go in there and look for those properties that people are talking about. They might be complaining about, or they might be actually offering, say, hey, I need to sell this. Does anybody know anybody? Oftentimes in our current neighborhood, we get hey, I don't want to use an agent. I'd like to sell this without going that route. Does anybody know anybody?
Yeah.
Uh,
Or estate sales and even like big garage sales, right? That might be
Yep.
a leading indicator to somebody's going to sell that house eventually too.
Every time there's an estate sale, my kids are so tired of it now. But if they're with me on Saturday and there's an estate sale, we're popping in. And I'd say they're all selling that house at some point. And yeah, so strike up the conversation. Real estate agents, of course, this is the fifth or sixth way. And most people that are getting started or looking for deals don't really go about it the right way. They're just tell agents, hey, do you have anything? Send it to me. Agents get that all the time. Now, agents love to talk. They want to talk to you. But I encourage people to be a little bit more specific. Tell them exactly, hey, I'm looking for something in this area, this price range that needs a lot of work or a little bit of work. Something that's going to stick with that agent. If you got a story, some kind of connection to the agent is very helpful. Because hopefully, if it's a good agent, they're talking to a lot of people. Right. So, the more specific you can be, the better help they will be to you. And then, the final way is your own network. This is the mental game we were talking about, where investors are a little bit shy about talking about buying discount deal or talking about investing and buying a flip. Sometimes they're afraid they will fail, so they don't want to share it with their family. I talk about the Thanksgiving table where you go and there's nobody there talking about entrepreneurship or taking their life into their own hands for not financial freedom. They're all complaining about their job or politics or whatever. And it's kind of hard to be that one at Thanksgiving that says, hey, I'm out there looking for some discount real estate. I'm going to flip a house. It's a little tough to do that. So we encourage people to just rip that Band-Aid off, get uncomfortable, and tell people what you're looking for. And you'd be surprised how many of your friends and family, the people that love you the most, will be willing to help you find a deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I know you've ultimately you had a real estate club for a long time, didn't really use it as a source for finding deals when that's probably one of the most obvious ones, right? Is to maybe even start a community or just get active inside of an existing community. It could be a physical group or it could be a Facebook type of group, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the first thing we encourage people to do if they're like, I want to get started. Well, locally is the best. Of course, COVID opened up all the virtual groups, but I'm still a big proponent of get started in your own backyard. If you find out that you want to change, go different, whatever, that's fine. Yeah. But connecting in your own backyard is the first place to start. And find that meetup group. We have ours. We do things basically once a week. And if you can find a group like that and you can lean in, great place to start.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, one question for you. I know that wholesaling recently became illegal in South Carolina, and I don't know how many states there are now that have essentially outlawed it or trying to, right? Maybe you could just share some thoughts on when that happens or if that happens, like how to pivot, because there's still plenty of opportunities out there. You just have to pivot. And some people can't pivot and they just hang it up, or they start doing things that are now illegal, but they keep doing it anyway. Or they just find a way to pivot and say, hey, I'm going to find a way to make lemonade out of these lemons. So how do you pivot when wholesaling becomes illegal in your state?
Yeah. So you made a good point there. Some people continue to do it even though it's illegal and it's been spelled out. And I tell I'm the first one to say that you shouldn't be making a business out of an illegal activity. So you might get away with it for a little while they try to figure out how to punish you or, whatever. But ultimately, creating a business that will sustain and a life, for yourself that will sustain should be the goal, right? It's not just a money grab to do a few wholesale deals and disappear. So what we did, and I think this is probably one of the best ways for anybody that faces this new legislation, is to actually go find the good deals and be good at finding the deals, be good at running your numbers, be secure and confident in your numbers so that you're not afraid to close on the deal. Mm-hmm. A lot of wholesalers don't really know how to run the numbers. They're not confident in the numbers, so they are just hoping somebody will pick it up before they need to try to close on it, and because they don't know if it's profitable or not. So getting really good with that, really good with running the numbers, understanding what you're buying, what you're looking at, and then closing on the deal, right? Yeah. It's simple. It's not simple. It's pretty simple. It's closing on the deal. Now, how you close can depend on who you are, what resources you have. We pivoted. It was about a year before the law came, because it was talked about, it was coming around. We knew it was happening. One of our friends was kind of like the leading edge of get a slap on the wrist when it was coming down the road. And so we started finding private lenders. So we took our track record, put it out there and said, hey, we would like to have some private lenders to help us close on these so we could turn around and sell them. And so we started what we call wholesale. So we close on it, clean it up, put it on the MLS, and get, the access and eyeballs to the most people. Yeah. The other way, if you don't have access to the private lenders, is to find a way to creatively close on it where it takes less money up front. Mm-hmm. So we're big. The way I like to do it, and this is how we've done it, is to do what's called an installment sale. Was it deed? There's a couple different names. I think it's called something different in Texas. But basically, you start paying payments on the property day one. And once you start paying payments, you are now the owner, and you can do whatever you want with it. There's a little bit more, obviously, legal nuance to all that. Bond for title. Is that what they call it there? Deed for title.
No, I haven't heard of that before, but the owner can finance it to you, right?
It's owner financing.
You essentially have the ability to pay them off after you fix and flip it. Maybe it's like a 6-month owner finance or something like that.
Right. It's a very niche piece of owner financing. So trying to find a way, working the deals, working the terms so that you're getting some sort of owner financing is the other option. Either you close on it or you owner finance it where you're closing on it with less out of pocket.
Yeah. Good stuff. Well, Andrew, I appreciate you sharing some thoughts with us today. If folks want to connect with you, where do they go?
The best place would be, our main website. So dealfindersclub.com. I have a link up there. If anybody wants to chat, you just click on the button and we'll chat. You can check out our Facebook group, Instagram, all of that's, everything's there. Dealfindersclub.com.
Awesome. We'll have links down below. So thanks for sharing with us today.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
Everybody, there's deals right in your backyard. You just have to be looking for them, and you have to tell everybody else you're looking for them too. And you'd be surprised at how many of those things come back around to you. And, if nothing else, it's a nice supplemental income to add to the top of everything else you're doing. So hope you got some good value from Andrew sharing some knowledge today. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next show.
Thanks for listening to the REI Deal Finders podcast. You can find out more and apply to be a part of the REI Deal Finder community at reidealfinders.club.